Over a week ago, I arrived home from an epic road trip that involved views from my car window, family, over 2 complete days of driving, firsts, and a lot of car problems. That's a lot to talk about, so let's get started. On Sunday, June 30th, I got in my car, Theo, to take my very first long road trip. I left my hometown of Butte, Montana for Clay Ellen, Washington for my family's annual reunion. I stayed there until July 5th, whereupon I left for Boise, Idaho to see my boyfriend DJ. I traveled from Boise to Rexburg on Monday, July 8th, where I stayed in my very first hotel room by myself. From Rexburg, I traveled through Yellowstone to Sheridan, Wyoming, where my grandmother lives, the very next day. While I was there, I even got to see my Uncle Justin, whom I haven't seen in years. On Saturday, July 13th, I left early in the morning for Colorado Springs, Colorado to meet up with my best friend, Katie Nordstrom. We stayed in Colorado Springs just long enough to eat, then we traveled to Breckenridge, Colorado to see a show that a dear friend of ours is in. Directly after the show, which was spectacular, we left for Castle Rock, Colorado to stay with my Uncle JB, who is a saint for letting us in so late. After less than 8 hours of sleep, we left for Breckenridge to have brunch with said good friend. After our wonderful brunch with our friend, we left Breckenridge on the first half of the last leg of our trip, stopping in Sheridan, Wyoming to stay with my grandma. The next morning, Monday the 15th, we left Sheridan with the intention of being home that night after stopping in Billings to have lunch with Katie's grandparents. But alas, it was not meant to be. I'll let Katie fill you in more. So Katie Nordstrom, this is not my car.
No, it's not. Funny story. We were driving and everything was fine. We're jamming out Disney princess songs, and suddenly your car overheated, and we stopped, and it was great, and we couldn't get it started, and this nice man from Texas named Gordon pulled over and helped us, and still nothing. And so my lovely grandfather came to pick us up, and now this is his car because he's staying here while we go grab my nervous wreck of a grandmother, so that he can get the towing company and tell them where the car is so that we can get the car towed and get it to a mechanic shop, but they won't be able to work on it probably until tomorrow. This is our story.
So Katie Nordstrom, this is not my car either.
No, this is the street. We're walking.
Would you like to update the camera on what has happened with my vehicle since we last were not in it?
It was able to be towed and it got to the shop, but they could not start working on it until this morning. We stayed the night with my grandparents and are waiting for your car, for them to start working on your car so that we can get it back, and hopefully our plan is that we will be able to drive it home today. If not, there's one place that will rent to us because we're under 25, and we will take a rental car tonight and we will go back to Butte. But we don't know what's happening with the car yet, so we can't really make a decision. So right now, we are walking along this nice street in Billings. We're trying to waste time, so we're going to the mall right now. That's pretty much it.
So Katie, this isn't my car.
No, Cheyenne, no, it is not your car. Still not your car. Your car is at the shop with $11,000 worth of damage on it.
I'm gonna stop you for a moment, Katie. Directly after this, when we arrived at the mechanic shop, they told us it was $1,100, not $11,000. Big difference. We'd been misinformed. And now back to you, Katie.
Your car is not coming home with us. Well, possibly, but we're not driving it home, that's for sure. Instead, we are driving this much nicer than your car. It's a Prius. It's all fancy and has a park button and weird stuff. And we are currently driving it, following my grandfather here, to the car lot. Not the car lot, like the mechanics. To get your car, well, to try and haggle with the mechanics to see if they will buy your car off of us for any amount of money, really. And if they won't, then your dad's friend's friend is going to come get it and bring it home. So today's been great. It's been really fun. Been in every car beside your car, besides your car. It's kind of crazy.
After that video was filmed, we arrived at the mechanic shop and loaded all the stuff from my old car, Theo, into the Prius, which we nicknamed the spaceship due to its very futuristic qualities. Then we sold Theo, my old car, to that friend of my dad's friend Katie mentioned, and finally began the last leg of the drive home. The totals for the trip? 3,271 miles. 3,044 of those driven by Theo, my old car, and 227 of them driven by the spaceship. 51 hours in the car, or 2.1 days. 17 days out on the road and 12 different stops. Despite losing my car, the road trip was awesome. I got to spend time with family I haven't seen in years, hang out with my best friend Katie Nordstrom, see a play put on by one of my very dear friends, and awesome, beautiful scenes from outside my window. However, it will be quite a while before I spend that amount of time in a car again, and not just because I currently don't have my own car. On the topic of new cars, I currently don't have one and I'm looking for one, but more news on that when there is actually news. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Welcome to the spaceship. This is a magical spaceship that has that fancy dash stuff and a park button. You do not put it in park, you press the button. And it's got a fancy button to start up and you don't even have to do anything. You just get in the car and start it. It's the spaceship. The fancy hybrid spaceship that Katie is currently driving.